welcome. I'm Claudia Pilato, co-chair of the board of the retreat, and this is us. Tonight, we celebrate, elevate, and support victims and survivors of domestic violence, the amazing team at the retreat, and of course, all of you, because nothing we do at the retreat is possible without your kind generosity.
Hi, I'm Francesca O'Dell, and I'm also the co-chair of the board of the retreat. This has been an unprecedented year. And during that entire year, the retreat has been able to stay open and continue to provide services. Our shelter has been open to victims of domestic violence since the beginning of the pandemic. And we quickly pivoted by providing laptops and cell phones so that our counselors and advocates could continue to provide necessary services.
All Against Abuse is our message of hope. We work with adults and children to help them not only have a dream of safety and security, but actually be able to realize a safe and secure future with our help.
For over 30 years, the retreat has helped to break the cycle of violence. I mentioned our shelter previously, but that's not the only service that we provide. We have a number of counseling and advocacy services, as well as programs to help break the cycle of violence.
Shortly, you'll hear from both survivors and celebrities with their own special message. They're lending their voice, and they've made a commitment to the retreat to share a message that is so very important.
We hope that tonight we can count on your support. You can donate through the Zoom, through our website. You can participate in our silent auction. And then, of course, we hope that you'll help by volunteering throughout the year.
Our show is inspiring and uplifting, and we're so grateful that all of you are here tonight. But, as they say in show business, let's get on with it. This is All Against Abuse. Thank you.
The latest on the coronavirus
Governors
emergency.
in 4 states
Breaking
have
news
now
tonight.
asked
Eerily quiet in a city that never sleeps. The state of New York now in lockdown.
It really became very real, very fast.
And at times there were surges. And they just kept repeating, stay home, stay safe, stay home, stay safe. It happens everywhere. It does not discriminate. You have someone at home who is out of control, who beats their partner. I work the hotline, so I'm the first person that the clients call when they are in trouble, when they need shelter, when they need counseling, when they need advocacy. I'm one of a group of people on the hotline, but that first lifeline. We were here one day, just working, and you're hearing whispers of this COVID and coronavirus coming. One person has it in California, one person has it here. And then when we were told to pack up everything we need, pack up everything that, is important to us, that we need to do our job, and head home. And we thought, okay, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
It was really frightening for all of us when the hotline was quiet, because we knew what was happening. The amount of control that was happening when nobody could go to work, and the level of abuse really heightened. And we knew that it's not that people didn't want to call the hotline, it's that they weren't able to call the hotline.
There is a perpetrator who's in control, and he or she may be saying you can't leave, and guess what? The government is saying, yeah, we also want you to stay home. You can't see your friends, you can't see your family, you can't have gatherings, you can't reach out to people that you normally reach out to, who might see that you're distressed in physically or emotionally.
A few weeks in, the phone started to ring. And it started to ring a lot. That first call, I remember, she called me and she was in her shed outside because her husband had lost his job. Her kids were home, doing remote school. And she had just been beat. And she didn't know what to do. You can't go to the hospital because you're told the hospitals are for COVID. And if you go to the hospital, you're going to get COVID. When I get a call and a woman needs emergency shelter, That is when she is in danger of losing her life. He'll go to work, and that's when we do our job. We get her here. So we get her kids in a safe place, and we set it all up. Well, he lost his job. He's home, or he's working from home. So now these kids, their safe place was school. That's where their warm meal maybe came from, but that was their safe place. That's where they got 6 to 8 hours of peace. They didn't have to see their mom being abused. They didn't have to hear the screaming. They knew they were safe, and that was taken away from them. Now they, too, were locked in this box. And that killed me. Yeah, that was, sorry. But that was hard.
That realization was very sobering to all of us. And we talked about it, and we said, how can we reach these women and make sure that no one loses their life during this time because they couldn't get out. When things started to open up a little bit, then the hotline starts to really ring, and we had to move very quickly and be ready for it. It's been very hard for everyone in general, but I have to say that when I reflect on this past year, the one thing that just resonates with me is how many positive things have come out of it because of the community. We had 13 children in the shelter, and we were drinking 8 to 10 gallons of milk a week. And when we could get milk, there was a limit of 2 gallons. Someone got in touch with a local grocery store for us, and this grocery store arranged 10 gallons of milk a week, plus half gallons of ice cream, and between volunteers and staff, there was like a train that went, someone picked it up from the grocery store and brought it to the Shelter Island ferry. Somebody brought it across the ferry to East Hampton. Somebody else brought it from East Hampton to the shelter. So just that was such teamwork just to get the shelter milk.
I learned that our agency is so much more flexible and adaptable than I had ever imagined it would be. We responded quickly. The staff, the clients, the board, they all adjusted, and we were all in this together with even local government, with our town board, with the police. We had to collaborate, and it's a lot of juggling. So I think I've learned that we can do it. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. I want to thank you. You gave us hope. This last year tested us in ways we never thought possible. And you asked, what can I do? How can I help? What do you need? Honestly, your compassion and commitment to survivors was powerful and moving, and still is. The world changed. It was tough on all of us, but the impact of the pandemic was compounded for survivors, children and adults living at home. The demand for our services skyrocketed, and so we responded by connecting and serving our clients in new ways. We were able to do that because you supported us unconditionally. This is all about you and your support. Survivors have to be resilient and strong because of what they endure. Stop and think for a minute. It's hard to imagine a more traumatic experience than abuse by someone you know and trust. Abuse impacts the whole family. Children are not witnesses of abuse. They're the victims we don't talk about. At the retreat, we do more than talk about them. We respond to them and we acknowledge them. We minimize the impact of violence on vulnerable children and promote healthy relationships in the wake of abuse. How? Through our new services and our prevention education programs. We're breaking the intergenerational cycle of violence by supporting survivors, educating the community, empowering children and teens, and restoring hope. We all need hope. Survivors dream. They dream about a future without violence, and they dream about a future of safety for their families. Our families simply want what every individual wants and should have. They want to be loved, they want to be respected, and they want to trust again. The services at the retreat are free, including shelter, but it costs money to run these needed and meaningful programs. So help fulfill these dreams of a brighter and safer future. Donate to the retreat. Donate now and donate as generously as you can. You can make a huge difference. We truly thank you for your support.
Hello, I'm Joy Behar.
And I'm Alan Alda.
I told you we should have rehearsed. We're a little fuzzy about who we are, but we're not at all fuzzy about why you should give money.
Yes, I mean, I have been involved with them now for a few years, and I can't even begin to tell you the incredible work that they do over there. These women are desperate. They are being abused at home. Their children possibly are being abused. They have nowhere to go. They have no money. They have nothing.
You know, I witnessed domestic abuse when I was about 10 years old. My family was friends with a couple, and I didn't know he was an abusive man. But his wife, I always wondered why she had a nose that seemed to be broken in a couple of places.
Oh, my God.
And she came in the car, got in the car with us to take a drive. And he came over to the car window outside the car, and he said, "Where are you going? Where do you think you're going?" She said, "We're taking a drive." He said, "Oh, taking a drive, huh?" And he just reached in and gave her a short jab in the nose.
While you were there?
My parents and I were in the car. But the interesting thing was my mother lifted her hand to protect her friend.
Yeah.
And he managed to hit my mother and broke a bone. And for the rest of her life, she had a little elevation there where the bone was broken.
See, today you would have gone to the police, I think.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But my family lived with his impulse to hurt.
Right. And, you know, here I'm thinking we're in the middle of this COVID pandemic right now, and we've all been trapped in the house for a year. And my heart breaks for these people, these women who are stuck in the house with these abusive guys. That's the point of the retreat, you see. This is the place that you can go when you're in that sort of terrible situation. I mean, how incredible is that there is actually a place that will rescue you? It's a very important place to support, and I hope that you will do the best that you can.
Thank you.
When my sister's life was taken, I became a witness to how domestic violence can not only destroy the victim's life, but the lives of friends and family members. I need to use my voice whenever I can to help organizations like The Retreat. It's the same message that I've said since I've started working with organizations that help people affected by violence and abuse. You are not alone. There are resources and people working to give you help and a safe place. Never in my wildest imagination would I have conceived of a time when people would be forced to remain in their homes, forced to stay right next to their abuser, forced to live in fear with no hope for escape. My sister died in her home like so many victims of domestic violence. That is why I am so pleased to see so many of you tuning in tonight to help The Retreat. We need to do all that we can to support these organizations and survivors. We need to end the cycle of violence, and that starts with you. Please give. Please lend your support so anyone who needs help can get it.
Hi, I'm Jarrett Martino, and if you tuned into the gala last year, you might remember me from the feature film Donna, Stronger Than Pretty, which I created surrounding my mother's journey of finding her voice and creating a life for herself and her children. This year's focus on children and teens that come from abuse is incredibly important to me, as I made the film to celebrate my mother's strength and recognize the children that have also been involved in abusive households. What I've learned along the way is that sometimes no matter how much work you've done and knowledge you've gained, the triggers from trauma can come rushing back into your life quickly. Certain words and situations that create intense feelings can be triggers for the body, and this type of PTSD is hard to work through alone. The retreat has a deep understanding on these effects. The time the retreat spends helping children and teens changes the course of human lives. As a child from this environment, I know firsthand the emotional voids that can be felt, and having support early on creates ripple effects that last a lifetime. Each child that feels this level of support can save so much time and heartache, and gains an opportunity to flourish in a world they might have never felt heard in. The retreat gives a voice and sheds light where there was once dark pain. Your support today helps our youth, and you become part of changing the statistics, which will then help shape our history and the world. Thank you so much.
Growing up in a home where there's domestic violence is extremely destabilizing. There's no sense of security. For a young child or a young teenager, I can recall just feeling like I was weathering one storm to the next, not knowing what erratic or volatile behavior was going to come from my father. There was no sense of safety, security. It was basically living in a state of fight or flight day to day, hoping that things would be different, looking for that time where you could connect and just feel safe. But you were constantly on edge. Being the oldest of 3 children and the only male, I felt an immense responsibility to protect, care for, and to shelter my mom and sisters from the erratic behavior that my dad exhibited. In the summer of 1988, my mom called me and let me know that they had made their way to a shelter, that things in the home had become extremely volatile, and that unfortunately, the shelter had a policy where they would not allow male children over the age of 12 years old to reside within the shelter. My family was fortunate in that the legal advocates and the social workers in the facility decided to make an exception and allow me to stay in the office of the legal advocates. This allowed me to complete my senior year in high school while commuting back and forth from a shelter, sleeping on the floor of the advocate's office, doing my homework at their desks at night, and then waiting in the common space for my sister to come out and I would drive us all to school. In this shelter, I learned quickly that male children have a 95% likelihood of going on to repeat the cycle of violence that they witnessed in their homes. Once I became aware of this knowledge, I made a vow to myself that I was not my father and I would never become like my father. And the greatest gift I could give myself at the age of 16 was to tell myself that I need to be coachable and teachable and learn from others. Learn from the wisdom, the education, the training, and the life experience of those who have gone before. I laid down my ego and I said, I need help. I'm fortunate in that I came to a place where I realized that there was services that are offered much like the retreat offers. One, a place for you to escape, to get to make an exit strategy, to find a safe place where you can realize that you're not alone. There are others, many others, that are going through similar situations in their homes. There are people there that are willing to sit with you and listen. They're trained social workers, they're trained legal advocates, they're trained in all of the areas around what it means to heal and to find hope as you exit a domestic violence situation.
I'm 6 foot, I'm 160, and I got slapped so hard by my significant other that it almost knocked me out. If you're a young man and you've been slapped or scratched, your hair pulled, kicked, that's abuse. And if it's happened to you by your partner, then that's domestic violence. And the fact that you didn't hit back doesn't mean that you're weak or you're not a man. In fact, it means you're the bigger person. You showed restraint and discipline. And because of that, you're going to heal, because you're also going to get the proper care and attention that you need. And then you're going to go on to make something better and greater out of this bad situation.
Hi, I'm Anastasia Carlutzas, Southampton community member and board member of the retreat.
I'm Elena Sandoval. I'm the Spanish bilingual counselor at the retreat, and I'm also a school social worker for the Southampton schools.
Hi, my name is Jale Durso, and I'm a school counselor at Southampton Intermediate School and also a board member at the retreat.
All of us are involved with the retreat because we believe passionately in children's right to live without violence.
Children need to know that there are adults who believe them, who will listen to them, and who will shelter them. Those of us that work with children need the awareness and skills to meet the needs of children exposed to violence in the home and refer them to appropriate services. The retreat's violence prevention education partnership with schools is essential in this strategy.
As a school counselor, prevention education is always crucial to all development of all kids. We want kids to know that if they're seeing violence, they're not alone, and that we want to support them and their families. So together we can break that curse and break that cycle.
Thank you so much for supporting the retreat's violence prevention programs. Your support means everything to the lives of our children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brooke and I are just moms. We are not experts. We're supporters of educating people about abuse. And I think during this pandemic, the percentage of abuse skyrocketed for children, for adults, men, women, animals. And I think this is the time, this has been a real wake-up call on how we view and deal with abuse.
I wanted to join the retreat because I saw the abuse that some of my friends were going through from such an early age.
She would come to me and talk about all of the things that he said to her and how he made her feel worthless, and would always argue with her and tell her that, like, her opinions didn't matter.
Someone I go to school with, their partner asked for all of their social media passwords.
Like constantly belittling her.
So they wanted to control them not only in person, but over the digital world as well.
Some of my friends, they were in relationships where the person would threaten them, either physically or verbally, or threaten to harm themselves if they left the relationship.
Just made her feel like she wasn't good enough. And I know more than anything that she is good enough for anyone.
So that really inspired me to join the retreat.
Our girls are starting to get involved in relationships that are somewhat adult. And there is emotional abuse when their partner, whether it's another boy or a girl or a they, tends to dominate them and overpower them.
It's taking your partner's cell phones and methods of communication away from them.
Checking their phone constantly, asking for passwords.
It's going through their phones. It's a lack of trust.
Wanting to know everything about their day, who they're with, just not trusting them.
They think they want to be independent, but what they really are doing is they are allowing their selves to be dominated. Yeah. Told what to wear, told who to hang out with, how to be.
Controlling one partner, controlling another, not giving the partner enough space, telling them who they can and can't talk with or hang out with.
For digital harassment, it can be constantly texting someone. It can be controlling who someone follows online and who someone talks to online.
I've seen abuse in that way. I never really thought of it that way. And it's been really eye-opening to me to see the subtle ways that abuse starts.
Sometimes it's more subtle, like forcing your significant other to post something for like a 1-month anniversary to like show the world that you're mine.
You know, I think when we grew up, you thought if somebody was abused, they'd have bruises, which they do, but sometimes it's very, very, very hard to mine. You don't always see it.
It's not always like how you see in the movies and stuff. It's very small, like putting your anniversary in your bios together, or having like matching profile pictures if the other person like doesn't want to. It's considered very normal, so people don't notice that much.
One of the things that I have been hammering into my kids' brains is do not send nudes. Do not send nudes.
There's also pressure to send nudes among teens.
I mean, I honestly, my fear is that my girls aren't afraid enough.
So sometimes it can obviously go to the extremes, like leaked nudes.
We were talking about earlier is the idea of instincts, right? Something comes over you. It's the gift of fear. It's that what is terrifying to me about also the internet is that they feel, or we feel like it's one step removed, right? So you don't have that biological, your synapses fire differently, or some hormone is secreted, whatever or the fight or flight, like you don't have that because it's in an isolated way.
I feel like people, when digitally abusing someone, can be a lot more relentless than they could be, say, in person, because they're hiding behind a screen.
And so that's even more toxic because you don't even have the luxury of a human instinct to possibly respond to.
So they can just repeatedly send texts or messages or just harass someone, which makes it a lot harder to control, a lot more dangerous.
And it doesn't just happen over there. The parents have to realize that it's we are among it. Abuse is such a, it's so toxic because it is brilliant.
Abusive relationships are, by their nature, very, very personal.
It's a brilliant disease in a weird way because it's so custom made.
Which is why some people get stuck in those situations for so long, because like once you're in it, it's hard to get out, but then you don't even realize you're in it in the first place.
You know, it starts off with not liking the dress, or it's keeping you away from the friends, or there's this sort of slow sequestering of someone, and that is interpreted as, oh, they really love me.
A healthy relationship to me has communication, respect, and boundaries.
There's so many different types of healthy relationships, but they're all based on respect and boundaries.
Respectful, trusting.
Clear boundaries.
Boundaries, space, respect.
At the beginning of the relationship, when people are getting into it, they'll set boundaries so neither person would be uncomfortable.
It's not one person taking control over every situation.
Communication and mutual agreement between both.
Healthy relationships have calm conversations, usually sitting down, talking slowly, calmly, looking at each other.
It should be a fun relationship.
As long as you are having those conversations and being respectful and knowing what the boundaries are within a relationship, then it will be healthy.
So if you're a parent or a child, it's time to have those conversations. And we need to stamp out the idea of abuse for the generations to come, because there should not be one child or one adult that's ever hit or sexually abused or even emotionally abused.
We look at it as an uncomfortable conversation, and that has to change. Don't be scared of the conversation. Don't be afraid. If you can't have the conversation with a parent or a friend, use the retreat. Use allagainstabuse.org. There are people waiting to have this conversation with you. You're not alone, and you deserve to be heard, and this has got to stop.
Hi, I'm Ellie Curris, Vice President of the Board of the Retreat and Chair of the Gala Committee for All Against Abuse. Thank you so much for being here tonight and for supporting the retreat. We truly couldn't do what we do without your help, so thank you. Wow, those teens are so inspirational. I think we can all agree there are intense challenges in being a teenager today. It is so important to give them the tools that will help them lead lives free of fear and violence. Sometimes it can be something as simple as the perfect song to help them express what they are going through or to voice what they fear. Music can help people open up about something they might have been afraid to share. Music truly is a universal language. Up next are two people who know all about the importance of music in our lives.
Hi, this is Gloria Gaynor. I Will Survive has been a beacon of hope for countless victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. We all need hope, and that's what All Against Abuse is, a celebration of the influence of survivors and the work of the retreat. Tonight is another step toward breaking the cycle of violence. Over the years, so many women have shared their personal stories with me about suffering through abuse and seeing hope through my music. Domestic violence affects everyone, and everyone should be a part of the solution. Thank you for making it All Against Abuse.
Domestic violence affects women, girls, and families every day. And the reality is that the pandemic has exacerbated those horrendous incidents. As the father of 3 daughters, I take it personally, and I know that everyone involved with the retreat does as well. Violence and abuse, power and control are never acceptable. The NBC has been proud to stand with the retreat through the years to advocate for an end to the violence and to respond to individuals who deserve a chance for a safe and better life. We have seen the difference that our collective efforts can make through the generosity of those who support this work and through program initiatives that resonate and have impact. Most recently, we have seen it firsthand in my foundation's Beyond Trauma Youth Music Therapy program, which is reaching young people at a tenuous time in their lives, helping them to believe in themselves again. I am grateful for the work of the retreat and for their unrelenting commitment, and I'm hopeful that through our continued determination, we will realize our goals and reach a better day.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Ziering, and I'm here to just say I'm a huge fan of the retreat, and I really hope you support their work. It's so important. I've seen firsthand the good it does, and I'm just so grateful to all they do and have been doing since 1987 for survivors. They offer legal support, they offer counseling services, they have prevention education services, and all of this really, really, really makes a difference. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for considering to support them. And thank you to the retreat for doing all you do with such intelligence, heart, grace, and integrity to make people's lives a lot better.
It is my pleasure to thank Regina Scully, the founder and CEO of the Artemis Rising Foundation, for really making tonight possible. Regina is dedicated to highlighting pressing social issues and transforming culture through media, including powerful stories told through documentaries. It's been an honor and a wonderful experience to work with Regina, who is a steadfast and fierce advocate for the retreat and its mission. Regina, you are amazing. We thank Regina and Artemis Rising for their extremely generous support. Thank you.